sorry, I jumped
no,
ahead.
no, no.
Thank you, Lori.
That's the first part of your reorganization.
Okay, thank you very much.
And then from
Okay,
there you go.
Douglas, are you ready? Okay, please repeat. This is
Yes.
the Vermont Oath of Allegiance. So I, Douglas Bugie, do solemnly swear
I, Douglas Bugie, do solemnly swear
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
and that I will not directly or indirectly
and I will not directly or indirectly
do any act or thing injurious to the Constitution
do anything. Say that part again.
injurious to the Constitution
Injurious to the Constitution
or government thereof,
or government thereof.
so help me God,
So help me God,
under pains and penalties of perjury,
under pains and penalty of perjury,
dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
this 8th day of March 2023.
this 8th day of March 2023.
Okay. And now this is the oath of office. I, Douglas Bugie, do solemnly swear
I, Douglas Bugie, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee Member.
Whoops. Treasurer,
Oh, Treasurer.
actually delinquent tax collector.
Sorry, delinquent tax collector. That might have been my error.
Okay. That I will faithfully execute the office of, Lori, repeat it again.
That I-
Delinquent tax.
Delinquent tax
collector.
collector,
that I will faithfully
execute,
execute the office of delinquent tax collector
okay, for the state of Vermont,
for the state of Vermont,
and will therein
and will therein
do equal right and justice
do equal right and justice
to all persons,
to all persons,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and abilities,
according to law.
according to law.
So help me God,
So help me God,
under the pains and penalties of perjury,
under the pains and penalty of perjury.
dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
Dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
this 8th day of March 2023.
this 8th day of March 2023.
Okay. So Lori, I can go on to the next one?
Yep, that's correct. Go right on to whoever you want.
Okay, I have Kim. Kim, are you ready? Okay,
Yes, I am. Sorry.
okay. I, Kim Crawl, do solemnly swear
I, Kim Carl, do solemnly swear
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
and that I will not directly or indirectly
and that I will not directly or indirectly
do any act or thing injurious to the Constitution
do any act or thing injurious to the Constitution
or government thereof,
or government thereof.
so help me God,
So help me God.
under pains and penalties of perjury,
Under pains and penalties of perjury.
dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
Dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
this 8th day of March 2023.
this 8th day of March 2023.
Okay, this is the oath of office. I, Kim Crawl, do solemnly swear
I, Kim Carl, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee Member
that I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee. I'm sorry.
Member
Prudential Committee Member
for the state of Vermont,
for the state of Vermont,
and will therein
and will therein
do equal right and justice
do equal right and justice
to all persons
to all persons
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
according to law.
according to law.
So help me God,
So help me God.
under the pains and penalties of perjury,
Under the pains and penalties of perjury.
dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
Dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
this 8th day of March 2023.
This 8th day of March 2023.
Okay. Ray, are you ready? I, Ray Molyneux,
I, Ray Molyneux,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will be true and faithful
that I will be true and faithful
to the state of Vermont,
to the state of Vermont,
and that I will not directly or indirectly
and that I will not directly or indirectly
do any act or thing injurious
do any act or thing injurious
to the Constitution or government thereof.
to the Constitution or government thereof.
So help me God,
So help me God,
under pains and penalties of perjury.
under pains and penalties of perjury.
Dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
Dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
this 8th day of March 2023.
this 8th day of March 2023.
Okay, the oath of office. I, Ray Molyneux, do solemnly swear
I, Ray Molyneux, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of Prudential Committee Member
the office of Prudential Committee Member
for the state of Vermont
for the state of Vermont,
and will therein
and will therein
do equal right and justice
do equal right and justice
to all persons
to all persons
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
according to law.
according to law.
So help me God,
So help me God,
under the pains and penalties of perjury.
under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
Dated in North Bennington, Vermont,
this 8th day
this 8th day
of March 2023.
of March 2023.
Okay. Tim Kane, are you ready? Oh, Tim, you're muted. There
I
you
sure am.
go. Okay. I, Tim Kane,
I, Tim Kane,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will be true and faithful
that I will be true and faithful
to the state of Vermont,
to the state of Vermont,
and that I will not directly or indirectly
and that I will not directly or indirectly
do any act or thing injurious
do any act or thing injurious
to the Constitution or government thereof.
to the Constitution or government thereof.
So help me God,
So help me God,
under pains and penalties of perjury.
under pains and penalty of perjury,
Dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
this 8th day of March 2023.
this 8th day of March 2023.
Okay, and the oath of office. I, Tim Kane, do solemnly swear
I, Tim Kane, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office
that I will faithfully execute to the office
of Prudential Committee Member
of Prudential Committee Member
for the state of Vermont,
for the state of Vermont,
and will therein do equal right and justice
and therein will do equal right and justice
to all persons
to all persons
to the best of my judgment
to the best of my judgment
and ability,
and ability,
according to law.
according to law.
So help me God,
So help me God,
under the pains and penalties of perjury.
under the pains and penalty of perjury,
Dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
dated at North Bennington, Vermont,
this 8th day
this 8th day
of March 2023.
of March 2023.
Okay. And so now I'd like to open the floor for nominations for chair. Are there any nominations for chair?
I'll nominate Ray Molyneux for chair of the North Bennington Prudential Committee.
Is there a second?
And I will second that.
Okay,
I second that.
okay. Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, the nominations are closed. So the vote is for Ray for chair of the Prudential Committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Abstentions. Okay, so Ray, the meeting is yours.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. So we have some procedural things to do. One is endorsing or making a motion to approve this procedure for executing contracts. We did this last year. And can you read it there?
Well, I'm looking at this.
How long is it?
Nearby certified, there's just. I think this is what she gave me to bring into the meeting. To the treasurer of the North Bennington. I think this is just the warrant.
That's
So-
Yeah, it's just the warrant. Lori, do you have?
So I have a little problem here. Ray, are you going to continue reorganizing the board first with
Yeah.
nominating a vice chair,
I think we
please?
can do that.
I'd prefer you do it that way.
Okay.
A delegate to
All
the
right, so
SVSU and that sort of thing.
We need a vice chair. So the floor is open for nomination for vice chair, or you can self-nominate if you wish.
I nominate Matthew.
I-
Bennington.
Okay, so Kiernan's nominating Matt and.
And I
Jen
will
is
second
seconding.
that. Yes.
And Matt, you're willing to serve, continue to serve?
Yep.
Okay. So are there any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Are we in favor of Matt being our vice chair? Say aye.
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 Okay, so Matt is the vice chair. We usually nominate a sort of recording secretary of the board who would be present and duty to take minutes if Lori were unable to attend the meeting. And there could be other things that would be required, like, for instance, we could put the secretary also in line on the list of what do we say? Off cycle warrants to go in and execute, sign the warrant so bills can be paid if we're not having a meeting that month. Usually I do that, but it's also something that Matt can do as vice chair, and I believe we usually allow the secretary to be part of that chain of command. So,
Kiernan's held that position in the past.
yeah, and Kim before him. So I don't care. Somebody wants to offer themselves for this position.
I'll nominate Kiernan for
Okay.
said honor.
And I will second that.
All right, great. Anyone else interested? Seeing no other interest, then I'll call the question. We'll vote to confirm Kiernan as the recording secretary for the board for this year. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all of us. So, Kiernan, you are secretary of the board once again. Now, we should make a motion to allow the three officers of the board to approve off-cycle warrants. That's the way I would put it, because I think we're a small board, and it might be necessary to go to the third person who's an officer of the board. So I'll make that motion. The motion is that for authorization to approve off-cycle warrants and other regular business of the board, I'll say that, the motion is that all three, the chair or the vice chair or the secretary of the board, may approve those off-cycle warrants or other regular business should the other two parties that are in this resolution are unavailable to do so. Got that, Lori? Yeah, I'm sure you did. Yeah. So.
I'm good.
So I made the motion. I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Karen. Any discussion? Hearing none. Call the question. Everybody in favor of this authorization, this motion for authorization of the chair, vice chair, and or the secretary to approve off-cycle warrants and other regular business that requiring a signature, say aye.
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 Matt? Matt, did you, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Okay, thanks. So that's all of us, and the motion is approved. Now we have a procedure for executing contracts. This is also a fail-safe sort of motion in case none of us is available to approve a particular thing that we need to approve.
Last year.
Yeah. Oops, so last year, the motion was to authorize the superintendent or his or her designee to execute on behalf of the school district purchase orders, agreements for consulting services, grant agreements, and other contracts arising affecting the routine operation of the school district. The superintendent or designee shall not execute any contracts resulting from a public bid process, any employment agreements, and in any long-term contracts without express authority from the board. I'll make the motion. Need a second for this.
Second.
Thank you, Kim. Is there any discussion? Seeing none offered, I call the question to pass or the motion. Who are we all in favor of this motion?
Indeed.
Yes. Aye.
Okay, Kim, are you nodding your head? Okay. All right, so the motion passes unanimously. And the next items of business are we need a person to render service to the SDSU board from our district, our board. I have been that person in the past because of lengthy experience doing it.
I'll nominate Ray for that position.
Okay,
I'll second.
thank you.
Okay.
So I'm willing to do that, continue to do that this year. So are we all in favor? Unanimous agreement?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
The next thing is we have our one subcommittee, which is less than the full board, is a facility committee to engage with the village school in discussion of expenses that are deemed by them to be the landlord being the Prudential committee district. And to authorize, discuss any repairs, major repairs that have to be done to the building, and authorize the work to go forward. We also do some thinking about planning for future improvements to the building. And that committee has been a committee of three for the past few years. I've sat on it, Matt has sat on it, and Kim has sat on it. Is this an acceptable to the persons I've enumerated? whether to be part of that committee and acceptable to the board as a whole for them to be that committee. The committee does have to meet with Warren unless there are only two meeting. And we do that. And usually there's interesting stuff that comes up to deal with. And
I'm
to-
okay with that unless there's two other members of the board that would have any interest in jumping in.
You know, it's available, so.
I think that's something that I may have some interest in the future, since I'll be here for a couple of years. I'm trying to get my feeling in for it right now, but yeah.
So, I mean, we could expand it too, but because we're going to have to warn the meeting anyway, so actually anybody can come to the meeting, anybody on the board. It's a matter of we've met and we make decisions about things like when we were looking for a roofer to do the contracting on new roof. We met for that, and we met for the essential maintenance practice painting of the cornice work to re-encapsulate our presumably lead paint up at the cornice level of the building, and other things like you know, we've scheduled some excavation to repair drainage from the building onto the back playground over the summer. We discussed that last year. Things like that come up. Everybody on the board is actually welcome to come and attend. It's not really that unique, and we don't exclude anyone.
Is there any advantage to there just being two members of that, so that discussions can be had?
We could just, if we had just two members, then we don't have to warn it. If we have two members meeting and not a quorum, we don't have to warn it.
But if you had
Let's
two
just
members
make
meeting,
everybody a member of the committee as a whole. Make it a committee of the whole and deal with it there that way. I'm fine with that. But that way, everybody could participate if and when they have an interest in what we're talking about. How do we do that?
so what are you proposing there? That we are a committee of the whole
We're a committee of the whole, yeah.
that would then require, would that committee require a quorum to meet
To
at all?
do any action, yes. To actually take an action, it would require
Which is-
a quorum.
Which is true anyway.
Which would
Right,
still be
pretty
just
much.
two members, yes?
3 members is a quorum, right?
Okay.
Right. And I think the ground rules are that unless we've had previous agreement about a course of action, there's no action taken without a full meeting and a quorum. And I'm okay with those rules.
Yeah, I'll go either way with that. I mean, with Tim's interest in getting involved, I mean,
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a perfect way in. And there's also, you know, the other committee of the whole is, we all sit as a budget committee. When that comes around way too soon, next December.
right.
So is that okay to structure it that way? Let's just make a note of that we all approve of it being a committee of the whole to both for facilities and for the second committee of the whole is for budget season.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Ray. I like that.
Sorry, what?
I like that idea. Thanks, Ray, for
Yeah.
thinking.
Well, yeah, I want to get people doing work, so that's a good thing. All right. Is there anything else we need to do in this regard?
Yes.
Yes, what's that, Lori?
So we need a policy committee delegate,
Oh,
we
yes,
need
right.
a personnel committee delegate, and we need a finance committee.
Okay, I'm the finance committee for SVSU. That person is usually the SVSU representative. So
I nominate Ray for the finance committee.
I take that, yeah. And if that's okay with everybody, I will continue to do that since I've done it for a number of years.
And I would also nominate Ray for the personnel committee in the SU. And then I will nominate Kiernan for the policy.
Karen, are you willing to continue doing the policy?
Yeah, I'll do it for a little, I'll do it for a little longer, yeah.
Okay. So let's make a motion then that I'll do the SVSU finance and I haven't had a personnel committee meeting in some years, but I'll do it if it comes up at the SU level. And that Kieran will attend the policy committee meetings and report to us about policies.
Would it be possible to nominate Tim Kane as an alternate to the policy if Kiernan's having some?
I think that would be fine, and I don't think that there's any restriction by the policy committee on that, is there? Kieran, do you know?
I'm not aware, no.
Because you can attend as a
So-
member of the public and
Excuse me.
participate.
Yeah,
Kim-
there are public comments.
Excuse me, Kim Kroll currently is the alternate. You know,
So,
perhaps,
so it's a
he doesn't
question of
want
who
to
wants
do
to
I think
do
it might-
be the alternate.
I think it might be better for Tim to take it because the 2 times Kiernan has asked me to, unless Tim feels differently, Tim, I'm totally fine. The only reason I say this is the 2 times Kiernan asked me to sub, I wasn't available. Because, well, I guess we should say this, Kiernan, why don't we tell Tim the time? Because he might be in the same situation I'm in. It's like 4:00 on a Monday or some
It's
like crazy.
Yeah, it's 4:30 it's the first Monday of the month, but I think there's only, I want to say 8 or 9 meetings a year, maybe 10. There are some months.
They-
I
they
mean,
get
next
canceled
meeting's
fairly
not till next
regularly.
month, so.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Mondays work for me. So
Oh, great.
yeah, I think that
All right.
alternate would be a nice smooth way of getting into it. I think that.
Yeah, no, that's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you for the.
I think you'd be
That'll be-
interested in the policy
okay, good.
committee. All right, so Kieran is the delegate to the policy committee and Tim will be the alternate. And maybe both of you can go. I mean, it's not exclusive club there, is it? There are people who sit in all the time on those meetings, right? Have something to say about a particular policy that's before the board. Okay, so that's our last appointments, Lori?
yes, you're good,
Okay,
good to go.
we're all done. And the next item of business would be public comments, and I don't see anybody here to offer comments. And after that is finance, treasurer's report.
Okay, yeah, I don't have a lot this month. Delinquent taxes continue to flow in. We did receive, I talked last month about that I'd spoken to the IRS about the interest on the bond payment. We did receive that. It was a little over 20,000. So that is squared up from last year. This April, I'll be signing the form and we'll go back into the pile again. So going forward, we'll know that if it doesn't come at the standard July, most likely it gets delayed again. But like I said, the woman I spoke to seemed to think going forward that shouldn't happen anymore. Other than that, there was nothing really else to report unless anybody has any questions.
Right, and you could briefly report on how delinquencies stand.
Yep, delinquencies continue to improve. We got a little over 10,000 last month. Again, like we've said, we're current in the tax year, so we have nothing beyond the 22-23 tax year. I don't have the number in front of me, but let's see. Last month, I think there was about 4 or 5 parcels that paid. There is one gentleman who's on a somewhat of a payment plan. He is making monthly payments. The amounts don't stay consistent, but he is paying monthly to bring his current. Hopefully, the goal is by the end of the summer to have that one paid in full. The other ones, I've talked to a couple of people, and it's a variety at this point. There are a couple of people who had lost employment, hoping to pay, once employment is, got back, or again, there could be another gentleman that may go on a payment plan within the next month, and then he's looking to pay within 6 months. So, and there's a couple of ones, same as last year. We'll probably over the summer have to send them to the attorney's office, but last year that was successful. I think we sent 3 or 4 to the attorney's office for further collection, and it was successful. So we're continuing to plug away.
No forced sales or anything like that.
Nope, we don't. Like I said, yeah, we're current in this tax year, so at the end of this tax cycle, we would have to make a decision if there was still some outstanding. But speaking to Mary from last year, she said that it's been quite a while since there had to be any tax sales, and usually it's a couple of years worth of taxes. So it's been good to be able to get those couple of stragglers that were from the prior tax year current. So like I said, now we're just in this tax year. So at the earliest we would have to talk about a tax sale would probably be November, once we see if, the person would then go 2 tax billings behind.
Yep. Well, I want to commend you for your service in this regard. Because I'm not sure that we've had, until Mary and then you came along, we never even got close to having it all be just current tax season delinquencies. So appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, so get back to my agenda. We'll move to the consent agenda, which consists of a warrant, one, and part of the warrant is for $253,628 rounded up. And part of it is payment to Doug for his services for paid on 2/16/2023. And part of it is, most of it is tuitions to the village school, South Shore Community School, Sacred Heart, and Long Trail. I don't know what happened to Highland Hall. Maybe their bill was not submitted in a timely manner. And excuse me, postage to the supervisory union for I'm not sure what, but I believe that's for annual reports, mailings. And then for minutes, payment for Lori's minutes for 2 meetings worth of minutes. And that all adds up to $250,667. So that's, and then in addition, we have minutes for the, if I can find them. The minutes for February 8th, 2023, that meeting a month ago. So I'll entertain the motion to, in a second, to approve the consent agenda. Or is someone speaking?
Yes,
I'll
I'll
speak.
go ahead and second that.
Yeah, okay. I guess I made the motion. Second, Kim. And so any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Tim, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at it. Thank you. So that's all of us. And we can pay the bills and pay Lori for the minutes. Then we have a 7 policies on the menu. 6 of them are just warnings. And I'll do the warnings first. Policy 4001, harassment of employees. Policy 5008, students who are homeless. Policy 5085, search and seizure. Oh, wait, sorry, that's all the warnings. No, policy 5050, discipline of pupils, that's one. So there are 4 warnings and 3 adoptions. So can we warn those in one motion? If that's okay.
Does Karen have any comments about any of those or?
I took down some notes, but most of it is just like kind of verbiage changing to make it more coherent, I guess. To say this, just say the least.
Right, small word changes.
Literally a lot of it is just most of them, if not all of them, are really just small word changes. Instead of having something drag on, just to make it more legible for an ordinary person to come in and read it if need be.
Okay, so, sorry, switched over. Okay, so, what I'm proposing is that we'll take up the warnings as one motion to warn them, because that means that it's possible for someone to decide that they want changes and suggest it to Kiernan to propose in the meeting.
I'll move that we warn all policy changes before us at the moment.
Okay, so that we're talking about warnings, 4001, 5008, 5050, and 5085.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's all clear, I'll second that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So I don't think there's much discussion here at the moment because I haven't reread all these things, although I looked at them at the SU level, and I didn't see anything popped out at me big time. So let's go ahead and warn them. All in favor of doing so? Say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, now there are three policies that are up for adoption. One is 2200, non-discrimination. One is 5087, threats and disruptions to school operations. And one is 5405, behavioral interventions. And I'm going to switch over to, so I can, oops. So threats and disruptions. Threats and disruptions. I actually don't, what are the changes on this? As presented, it shows no.
There's, for this one, I mean, we talked about this back in December.
Right.
I mean, some change, there was just some wording changes made by Dina, but she didn't have any updates on it.
Yeah, I don't, it's not highlighting what was changed in this copy I have here. Which I usually like to see, so I know why it's been put up again.
If there are minor changes made by the SU's attorney, I'm
Yep.
supportive of them.
Yep, okay. I would say that's the proper way to look at it. Behavioral interventions. Yeah. I don't see the changes. Okay, so the policies that I brought up. Yeah, now I've lost my place. Sorry. I'm sorry, I lost my place, so I lost my agenda here.
Ray, I think on all these policies, we can probably
Yeah.
comfortably
Agree with you.
approve them.
I think they are all very minor changes.
There are ones that raise my hackles, but these aren't those. So
Aren't them. You know, non-discrimination is a required policy, obviously, because of public accommodations law. Threats and disruptions has been through the mill many times, and it's pretty refined by now. Behavioral interventions. So those three policies: 2200 non-discrimination, 5087 threats and disruptions in school operations, and 5405 behavioral intervention. I'd make a motion that we adopt all three of those policies in one
and
shot.
I'll second that.
Objection to that? You second that, Ben? Okay. So any discussion of it? Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks. All right, so that puts us to the superintendent's report.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all tonight. I have one thing to share tonight. Tomorrow night, March 9th, we are hosting a community collaboration. It's called Community Collaboration with the SVSU. It's our first attempt at continuing to find different ways to engage community and families and possibly students and conversations around our district continuous improvement plan and the different goals that we're working on, and then different grants that we have available to support the district. So the event is from 5:30 to 6:30 at the Mount Anthony Middle School Library. And we'll have a variety of, some will be some different district employees. For example, our math coach will be there, our director of curriculum instruction and assessment, and we'll have different booths. And our goal is to just have some small group conversations. And so if anyone is interested, we hope that you'll come join us. And that's all I have to report tonight, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Thank you. Chair's report, this is going to be brief. Actually, I'm going to ask Lori to review the election results. But she knows the figures and she sent them all out, so.
I did send them all out, and it's going to take me just a second to find them. I wasn't sure you were going to ask me that, but we had a slow turnout. I think it was slow everywhere. But clearly we have a new Prudential Committee member, Tim Kane, and welcome. Ray is back and Kim is back, and that's awesome. Doug is back too. The budget passed and the tuition payment passed. And I'm looking for the email with the exact
Lori,
figure.
I just texted it like a screenshot of the email that you sent us.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would have been really prepared if I had known you were going to ask me that, Ray. So anyway, John Lamson also is still our moderator.
Right.
179 yes votes and 43 no votes for Article 6, which was the budget. And Article 7, which was the tuition question, 175 yes with 50 no votes. So everything passed nicely. And I'm happy to report that we're done with that for another year. How's that sound?
That's total 235 votes. I think that was the most heavily voted item.
It was really, really slow, I think. And a lot of people, there were, what I noted was that I did not have one request from Shasbury ID for an absentee ballot. And I had a few, but not as many as in the past, requests from, North Bennington for absentees. So the absentees were way down as well.
Yep.
And that's all I have to say. But I really want to thank Ray and Heather and Pam for helping me out at the polls. It gets busy at times, but and you always need someone besides me there. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome, Lori. Sometimes it's
And thank you, Lori, very much.
slow. And it's hard to keep awake at times. Then there's a bunch, and you have to keep on your toes. I kind of enjoy it. Get to see people and help them out, help them vote. And we had that box was new, was it not, to our station? It's never been.
Right. So everyone has new ballot boxes. So we couldn't use colored ballots anymore because it wouldn't accept them. And there could only be a splash of color at the top to differentiate the different ballots from the different towns. But I must say, when it's time to receive the results of the night, the printouts and the calculations are much, much faster than they've ever been. So it was super helpful. And I like those machines very much. As a voter, you're able to override your ballot. If you've made a mistake, you can have it returned to you. So there's a lot of just independence for the voter with these new machines, which is really nice.
And it has it tells you if you may incorrectly inserted it, it tells you what to do to correct that.
Exactly. And it says
Quite
that you've,
amazing.
it says you voted for more than you were supposed to, or,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so that was a nice addition. It made it much more convenient for everybody.
Right. Plus, you could read the printout.
That was the most important thing for me.
Right. Because the other machine, the printout had been getting fainter and fainter. Couldn't seem to correct that. Okay, so yeah, I thought it went well. There wasn't any countertemps. No one was upset. So we accommodated everyone, including one new voter who had a pink slip.
Yeah, and that worked out okay too. So
So, and the results are good, it's 4-1 for the overall budget and about 3-1 for passing the request for tuition for the village school. I have an item on here of discuss work of the board. I think I can be really brief about this. The main thing that I see ahead of us is that there are some provisions of law that the legislature passed in the last legislative session that take effect on July 1st. And we've had Dina do a presentation last year about this, but I think we need to have her do one again, and also to inform us about who is it that is actually going to be following up with reviewing whether independent schools are meeting the requirements that they're supposed to meet under this law. We know that the village school meets them all, since it did from the beginning, but currently we have 4 schools, Sacred Heart, Long Trail, South Shore, and Highland Hall, that all have students and will have students at the beginning of the new fiscal year, who would be subject, that we would be paying for and would be subject to these requirements. And I think the board needs to know what action we have to take, if any, and how we're to deal with our responsibilities before we start paying tuitions next fall for children going there. And of course, it's important to families because they're going to need to know whether their school is qualified. And we need to, that's our first task, I think. And the other task would be facilities work that we planned for this coming summer. We do have a bid that we've accepted for work on the back playground to create a little better drainage situation there. I think that's the main thing that we've laid out to do, but there could be other things that if we have a discussion with Tim and Terrence, we may find out other things that need to be done. I know we are going to have to pay for a sewer line repair and from the nurse's bathroom upstairs, children's bathroom.
Ray, do you have any more information on that?
I believe it was ongoing today.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have any new information, but they've Terry had opened up the sheetrock and I believe Hayden was going to be there. Dave Getty from Hayden was going to be there this afternoon or to look at it. And I believe it involves replacing a cast iron pipe that's corroded and cracked. We've had that happen before with respect to wastewater drainage from the roof. And Dave knows the building pretty well, so he took care of that pretty well. It's just that this is a soil pipe, so it's a little different issue in terms of dealing with it. Okay, I will be sending out comments about other things that we might deal with, but I think the first thing I got to do is get an appointment for Dina to come and speak to us about these issues that are coming up at the next board meeting. So that's all I have to say.
And I just want to make sure, Tim, well, I just want to make sure that, Tim, you receive the email and you see how that you can access the packet agenda via the email, and then it takes you to all the documents and everything for the meeting.
I have been scouring it for the past 45 minutes, just going through.
Okay,
all-
good. Okay, great. Okay, good.
Great.
Good.
Yes. I'm going to be looking through those policy notes a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
The policies, of course, are posted. They're easy to get to from the front page of the site. And they're cataloged and listed, so you can figure out where they are mostly. Sometimes it's iffier.
Will he be issued a SVSU email?
I'm sure.
Yes, he will be. Which brings me to the last item. We need to make sure of our contact information. Do you have a form on that?
I think it'll be, Amy will be generating that. So, and Tim, I'm making a note too about the address piece, but yes, I will check with Amy.
Okay.
Yep.
I used to have one. You could just get it going again.
I think you're going to get a new one.
Excuse me. I just want to say that I texted Terry and he said that the plumbing's all fixed, and Laura Carey, the gym teacher, she was moved out of her office. She's ready to move back in tomorrow. He hasn't seen an invoice yet, but it was about 3 hours of labor. He's guessing a few $100s.
Yeah, plus pipe. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, that could have been much worse.
Yep.
I didn't think it would be too much. And it's good to get it fixed. Apparently that was festering there for a while.
Ray, I just had a question. Is the improvements of the ventilation system, that's still ongoing, correct?
Yeah, but that's something that the village school has access to the funds for. So I expect that we will be involved. We have to be involved under terms of the lease. So hopefully Terrence and Tim are going to, I'll make a note to mention it to them that we need to be kept in the loop. And probably it's useful if we participate to some extent, just being there and listening to what's going on. Any presentations?
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. It's a good point. Any other from anyone else? Seeing none, I'm going to declare us closed. Thank you.
Thank you,
all for
everyone.
coming.
Bye,
Have a good
everybody.
night.
Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank Thank you for supporting your local community media station.